You
Uh-huh.
know, you can envision it a little bit. It's a great idea. I should actually make it's a pyramid. So the movements, those things that you're going through in the first maybe 2 days at the base. The movements, the sound imagination, embodiment of movement sensations and music in your mind. Then you're going a little bit higher and you got like harmony, then you dynamics voicing, then you go a little bit higher and you got phrasing, then form, image. The higher you go, um, on the least amount of musical means of expression you focus. So in the beginning, you have to focus like on the whole bass, you know. And by the time you reach in the top, which is artistry, you only focus on artistry because the bass supports, because it's all in the muscle memory, and you don't really have to think about the movements. You don't really have to think too much about sound imagination, actually, at all by that time. So the higher you progress, the less of the base you have to think about. But yeah, you will have to work like a teacher with yourself. You're a teacher and a student. For the very first piece, I really encourage people to do that because you get overwhelmed. When you play, you have to focus sometimes. Remember, we talk about the base of the triangle, and the first days, the base is very long. You have to think about many things that are sitting on that base: motion, sound imagination, harmony, dynamics, phrasing. It's all sort of there until you get to the top, and it's all in muscle memory. But before that, it has to be there and has to be in your mind. So it's very hard to understand. You think you're focusing on the wrist motion, but you assume that your elbow is going, but it's not moving at all. But when you listen yourself from the outside, you notice it.
Uh-huh.
And then later, for the second piece, you don't even need that checklist anymore. You trained yourself well already. You will be able to identify everything you do and don't do. Mm-hmm. If your piece is 10 pages, you should always take 3 or 4, maximum 4. It's going to be a section of the piece. And that's with that section you work through the whole process. Except, let's say you have a big sonata, right? So you might want to bring those sections of 3, 4 pieces through the analyzing stage and through the learning and reading stage, but not through the practice performance stage because you
Uh-huh.
cannot perform it. So you collect them. You've done one section of 4 pages, analysis, learning stage, 1 week. You keep it there while you're doing the second section, another 4 pages. So you collected your 20
Uh-huh.
pages, then you got them together, and then you go maybe through the learning stage with all of them, or reading stage with all of them, and then you go through the practice performance stage with all of them. But what is written here, it's only applied for the segment of 3, 4 pages. So it is important that you can, with a checklist, you record yourself. So
Uh-huh.
whatever is your objective, today I'm playing with correct motion, right? 3D motion and sound imagination, right? That could be your first or second day. And when you've done it, and you think you've done it, then you record yourself and you go through this. So I suggest you to print it out in many pages because you will need it. Or you
A
can
lot.
do with a pencil and erase it, or you can do it with your iPad. But you listen through it and then you think, slow tempo in that part wasn't slow, correct fingering. I think there I was confused. Did I play with very clear sustained pedal? By the way, it's very important that you write it down. We never talk about this, but in the first day, you have to write it down and do not change it. You might want to change it a little bit when you're in the learning stage, you're playing a little bit faster. Through the whole analysis stage, you will play only in a slow tempo. But it's important that your foot is also learning to press always in the same time for the muscle memory. Because believe it or not, confusion about your leg can bring confusion in your whole system and you will feel tense,
Uh-huh.
not because you're doing something wrong in this part, but because that part is not really knowing what it's doing. So writing down the pedal right from the beginning and following it is important.
To play in the
You don't
faster tempo.
play. You listen to other people and you copy their pedal.
Ah,
If you follow any of my practice journals, my first day after I write down the fingering and the motion, and I need to look at the pedal, I always go on YouTube and I find something that I like, and one by one I copy backwards, not clear,
ah,
blah blah blah. I listen, I don't play. I steal someone else's
okay.
pedal. Then light and gentle touch, wing hands, playing everything pianissima because we haven't imagined anything in dynamics, correct 3D motion, prominent elbow motion. So if you know that overall it's all there, maybe here I have to improve a little bit elbow, a little bit bigger. Maybe here my 3D motion, wrist motion looked kind of funny. I don't think it's clear for me, so let's just zoom in, work on it. But if overall 90% of things are okay, then you can move on.
Uh-huh. Mhm.
So there are a few times where you want to listen to the recording. For me, it's the pedal, and then it's the tempo. If I'm not sure, I would sometimes give myself a suggestion from another performance. So I'll be like, okay, yeah, this sounds good. Okay, I'll take that tempo. Rachmaninoff, when I listen to Rachmaninoff playing himself, it doesn't really work because he always plays in like a 2-3 tempo half faster than anyone else. So I'm not
Yeah,
sure about
yeah.
listening Rachmaninoff himself. And that's it. So it's only tempo and pedal. And I don't pay attention to anything else. Not to dynamics, not to, voicing or phrasing, nothing. Because again, you want this autonomy, what you said. You want to have
Yeah.
what I want to say, and then I compare, and I have my standard. Remember what we said in the first book? We had even
Ah,
time, 1 note a second or something like that.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Keep that principle in the analysis stage, unless you're going to,
Ah,
till you're going to
okay.
the phrasing. But everything,
Uh-huh.
you don't
Okay.
even have to
So,
have, till you reach timing, you don't even have to play incorrect rhythm. 1 to 2 notes per second.